Okay, so today I want to see how well my 7800 XT AMD GPU does against the new Spiderman 2. Personally, I've been waiting for this game ever since it came out on the PS5. It just looks so amazing. I've only done the intro part, so it won't really have any spoilers, but we're going to see how well my GPU with 16 gigabytes of VRAM does against this game, which supposedly has some issues, but just playing the main intro, it was buttery smooth. It was totally fine. But let's look at the settings I currently have. We have anti-lag turned on at 1440p, that's what I run at. And then we have the preset of high. So, and no ray tracing. We will check out ray tracing in a bit, not right this second. So right now we're at high, and let's get into the game and see how that performs. So I don't really even want to move that much. I just kind of want to stay stationary, see if there's any visual difference, and then go from there, because I feel like that's the best benchmark for me, because I don't have the time to go through and check things, because I don't think there's a benchmark mode in this, which is unfortunate, but it makes sense because it's such a dynamic game. There's so many NPCs and stuff, random things occurring. We show the performance up here. So I've got the AMD performance overlay on right now. Right now we're getting 90 FPS with actually not 100% utilization, or about 95. Lows, the 99% lows are at 80, which is pretty stable. Another thing is that the GPU VRAM is at 12 gigabytes. So this is definitely a heavy game, which is understandable because it's a new game and the textures are very detailed. So right now with high settings, no ray tracing at 1440p on the 7800 XT, I'm getting 90 FPS. I just want to be able to move around and like see if it stays around. See, as you can see, it went up to 100 and now it's back down to 90. So it depends on the area you're in. This is definitely a harder game to benchmark since there's no benchmark, or really, I guess I can just walk through here. So right now we're getting 89, 92. It's pretty much around 90 to 100 FPS. The lows do dip a little bit. It's probably the effects, honestly. And it's gone up about 500 megabytes for VRAM. Okay, I should probably mention this. I do have, these are my current settings. So I have a little bit of an undervolt, a little tiny bit of a frequency overclock, and then I have a fan curve, and then also power tuning I think is all the way up. So it can get as much as it wants, but that realistically shouldn't change anything. It would probably make it a little bit more FPS because of the undervolt and less power usage. But yeah, let's go here and let's see the performance difference. So we're at 90 FPS. Now I want to go to ultra settings. Okay, very high. As you can see, there is a difference visually. And let's go out and see how much FPS we get there. Honestly, not that bad. Now the GPU is getting used a little bit more VRAM, like a gigabyte more. But it's actually performing a little bit better. I do have a 12600K, which might be a little bit of a bottleneck, but not realistically. At 1440p, it shouldn't really make that much of a difference. It's a good CPU for what it is. Obviously, I don't have like a 9800X3D. I don't have that kind of money to afford that. But for my computer, which is pretty average and good price to performance, this is a really great experience and I like this. Now I really want to try ray tracing and see how that is. We're gonna go to this. Let's just put on medium ray tracing. Very high, ultimate. Okay, we are not going to ultimate. We will go to high, keep it at the default high settings. Okay, it's got to compile it, so let's give it a second. Make sure it renders it in, keep it the same spot. I'm glad it puts that there because I couldn't even really tell from the performance. It's still at 90 FPS, so my computer is definitely louder. My VRAM is almost maxed out with this ray tracing. Not even fully loaded in. It's at 15.2 gigabytes right now, and I have 16 gigabytes. This is the first time I think I pushed my VRAM that much. So this is definitely a very modern game. It hasn't even loaded in fully yet, which is crazy. Okay, finished. So with ray tracing at high, on very high settings, we're getting 60 FPS. Honestly, that's really good, all things considering. I will admit that VRAM is making me nervous. That's really, really close. I honestly don't even want to push it more than this because of that VRAM. I don't have a big enough buffer, I don't think, to be able to do that. But with 60 FPS in a game like this, that's amazing. There is some spikes though, we'll say that. Let me just jump off and walk around a little bit. Let me look at this, because this might have some reflections. That does look pretty good. Like that, you can tell that's definitely ray traced a little bit, like on the pole there. But honestly, I don't think that definitely looks very good. You can see it in the window there, it reflects a bit. Under the toppings logo, that's really good. Yeah, I know, Spider-Man. I know. I'm just trying to take a look around. For me personally, this just doesn't make enough of a difference. Because you're not going to notice it while you're swinging around and fighting bad guys. But I will admit, when I'm just standing here, you can see every single particle of the sand. You can see every detail. I've got some good performance. Sure, I'm almost out of VRAM. Sure, it's maybe not the smoothest and has some problems, like around my character. Do I have FSR on? Okay, so right now I didn't think of this. I have FSR 3.1 on. Let's see what kind of FPS we get with it off. Let's go back over here. This seems to be like, okay, it definitely looks like way crappier. Let's just say that, but wait, but that's with it off. I would want it native. Is there any way to make it native? There's gotta be a way to make it native. Okay, so I guess TAA is still an upscaler though. There's no way to make it native. Is it over here? This is just like the textures and stuff. That's so bizarre. There's no way to make it like, maybe it's, I don't know. I think I'm just kind of starstruck by how well this is doing and not realizing that my GPU has more power than I realize. You know what? I think I have a CPU bottleneck with this because my CPU is at like 90% right now. And I will say I am recording, so that is going to take some performance away, maybe like 2 or 3 FPS, but it's not going to be much. Yeah, now we're at 60 FPS. So I'm guessing you'll probably get more performance if you have a better CPU. I, however, do not have a very powerful CPU, so we'll upgrade eventually, but for now it's perfectly fine. I wouldn't be running these settings anyways. Let me see what happens when I turn on a frame gen. Let's see how much we get with that. Okay, now we're getting 134, but this is fake frames right here, okay? It does feel smoother, that's for sure. I mean, Spider-Man's kind of tearing a little bit. You can see, if you look around his shoulders and stuff, you can see it kind of blurring on the corners. Realistically, you wouldn't see that while you're playing, but let me just walk around. I mean, this does feel very smooth, I will admit, especially on a controller. The CPU is almost maxed out, so it went up even more when I put on frame gen. So that's crazy. I'm almost at max out for my CPU. That's not, I mean, it's good optimization, but let me turn off ray tracing and see what kind of good difference that makes. Without ray tracing, with frame gen, now we have 185, still CPU, it must be this area. This area must be very CPU intensive. This is very smooth, we got almost 200 FPS, but it's going up and down so drastically. And now we're back to the same original FPS that we had at the start of the video. With this GPU, nothing really changes when you go from high to very high for settings, but it definitely changes when you turn on ray tracing, and it definitely changes when you turn on frame generation. Frame generation, it makes it smoother, but it uses a lot more CPU. It uses about 100% CPU for me. That's pretty much it for this video. That's all I really have. Let me know if you played this and what kind of performance you get with what settings. Like, do you have ray tracing on and whatnot? I'm sure NVIDIA will probably excel with the ray tracing, but for AMD, like, it's not bad. Like, the ray tracing was pretty good and it looks pretty good. I mean, it still looks good, but I definitely know the difference. Like, with this window now, there's no reflection. It's just like a still image and stuff. And that's pretty much it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you'd enjoyed and found this informative and helpful. Very well made game, and it's definitely clearly very well optimized. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you did enjoy. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and like the video if you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.